Hello, community. Hello, friends on our YouTube or whether Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram. Welcome to another Conversations Abroad. I have brought someone special with me. I brought my wife, Andrea.
Hey, everyone.
And we're missionaries. If you don't know what a missionary is, simply we are Christians and we serve as leaders. And we have gone on a mission or an assignment to the country of Mozambique where we got to learn the culture, we got to learn the experience, and we grew within the community. We have lots of friends, and we try to enrich in ways of visual communication, camera setups, and art, and to fulfilling your call. Whether you like to express yourself through artistic expressions, we feel like God has a special place for you in His kingdom. So in this third season, we're going to start off as an introduction to...
So we get a lot of questions about travel and missions while we're here in the States and what it's like to live in another country or what it's like to travel with a lot of stuff. So we thought it would be fun to just do a series, or I guess 3 video series on, travel, missions, and what it's like to live in a different country.
So we're going to talk about stuff like, like applying for a visa, what it's like to cross the border, some of these questions that you just might not know. There's an interesting statistic that's saying like so many people in the United States, like a large percentage, are without a passport or they've never traveled outside the United States. So we want to kind of eliminate that stigma that, it's hard to travel across overseas.
And it's not.
It's not at all. So stay with us, and we hope that you subscribe and you follow us. So here's a question that many people ask. They ask, well, how do you bring all your stuff, or how do you transition all your home living stuff to Mozambique? Because people think that you could only just travel on a suitcase, and that's not always the case. So what would you say for that, from our experience?
The things that we purchased on the first time we went to Mozambique are these Foot Lockers from Walmart. And they're pretty cool. They're durable. They're sustainable. They didn't crack. I thought they would crack, but they didn't. And the cool part is when you're like in Mozambique, you could use it as storage. So it's a dual purpose. We used a lot of stuff in it and whatnot. But this is what they look like. I think we could put it up, right? On the screen.
So we'll put it on the screen.
So they used to cost like $18, but now they kind of skyrocketed to like $27. So we kind of pivoted a little bit.
And it depends which Walmart, because we live in northern New Jersey, and a lot of people have been buying them, especially our missionary friends. They're like, oh, they bought like 10 of them. So we noticed the price go up. But when we're traveling to like Pennsylvania or something like that, we've noticed that they're the cheapest I've seen is $21.
Yeah, they've gotten a little expensive, but they're the best. We love them, and it's worked for us. So try them out. But we've seen other missionaries use duffel bags, right? And just regular luggages. So honestly, it's whatever works for you.
Yeah, and what we also recommend is when you're packing your stuff, like if you have something that's fragile, like maybe bubble wrap it or have like clothes wrap it around. And we've never had a problem.
No, never. Nothing really broke. Nothing ever really broke. We never lost the luggage yet. Pray that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I would also suggest, like, if you're going to travel and you're going to have your life and you have high valuable stuff, to maybe get some sort of insurance, maybe travel insurance. That's a whole different thing. You can get insurance with the airport or the airliner that you're going to use. The one we use was TAP or Delta. They've been really good, or even United. But thank goodness our luggage has never been lost. Or you could have like a separate insurance just in case.
Also, one thing we've added new is tile chips inside our containers. And you can track it on your phone wherever it is. Or if you have an Apple phone, you could use the AirTags.
But actually, I saw on TikTok that someone had a tile chip, the Apple chip. They knew exactly where it was, and the airliner still wouldn't look for it. Sometimes you tracking it might not be a big deal, or it might be a long time till you get it. If you have an experience with lost luggage and you had a tile chip or an Apple tag or a Samsung tag, let us know your experience.
Yeah, we want to hear your experience.
Yeah, we want to hear your story.
And I think it's cool because we have a lot of camera gear and stuff like that, and we want to know where our stuff is. So yeah, I feel like it's beneficial for us.
Well, speaking of stuff that's high value, if it's high value, normally I put it in my carry-on bag. I put it either in an overhead bin, or if it's just like a laptop or something, I stow it away under the chair, because those things are high value. So I don't really trust leaving it in check-in. But sometimes you have so much stuff, and the gear that we're going to bring is going to be so much stuff. So
also talk about the drone. You can't travel with the drone with the battery or something, right?
Yeah, so if you have a lithium battery and you like a portable generator or a battery to your drone, Like, let's say I do check in my drone, I would take out the battery, and all the batteries, lithium batteries, I would put it in my checked in baggage or my carry-in baggage, and I would stow it away or put it in the overhead. And also, you have to really look into how much watt per hour your battery is, because if it's over 99, or sometimes there's a certain wattage per hour that's limited per battery, you cannot bring it onto the airliner. So if you're planning to bring like a portable generator, I do think you'll have a hard time bringing that along with you on the airliner, unfortunately.
So basically, do your research.
If it's something that's too big, you might not be able to bring it.
So another question that we get is, how do we get around to driving in a different country, but especially where we were in Mozambique?
Yes, so how do you drive? Well, something that surprised me in Mozambique is they drive in the opposite side. So it kind of confuses me even in the United States. Not in the right-hand side, you drive in the left-hand side. And the driver's side is not on the left side, it's on the right side. So that was a big learning curve. But it surprised me to learn that in Mozambique, or at least, I don't know what the law is, but we were able to use a United States driver's license. Technically, as a United States citizen, when you go to a country, I think you have a month or a few months where you could drive with your passport. So that was something that we've got to learn. And actually, when we go back to Mozambique, I'm going to apply for my Mozambican license. So when you do get pulled over, I can't guarantee what the results would happen with you driving. And I don't know what results would happen if you're driving in a European country or another African country. But at least from my experience driving in Mozambique and South Africa, I was able to use my United States driver's license or my passport.
But technically, you're only allowed to use that for like what, a year or so?
Yeah, you could only use it for a year. You can't
use.
We
kind of stretched it out to 2 years.
Yeah, we stretched it out for 2 years because there's no way to enforce it really. How long you've been there? I'm pretty sure if they're diligent enough that they'll go in and they'll tell you not to drive. There was an instance that happened to me where my U.S. driver's license expired and I couldn't do anything about it. And the police officer, they just told me, like, hey, listen, if you drive, we're going to have to, you can't drive anymore. So I stopped driving, and then my wife...
For the last 6 months.
For the last 6 months. So my wife was chauffeuring.
But there's this thing called international driver's license, right?
So you could, through AAA, or I know that's a really popular one. If you're considering being an expat, or if you want to move overseas and you're there for quite extensive time, what I do recommend is getting an international driver's license. You could get it through AAA. I believe the expiration on it is 1 or 2 years. Don't take me at my word, but that's a really good option, and I'm definitely going to be taking advantage of that when I go to Mozambique, because police officers, they are aware of international driver's license, and they will ask you for that.
Yeah, and also the reason why we didn't apply for a Mozambican driver's license is because everything literally is in Portuguese. So our Portuguese wasn't that strong, or we weren't comfortable enough to do that. But hopefully this next term, when we are in Mozambique, we'll be applying for it.
So how is the visa process? What is your experience from United States to Mozambique?
Well, I guess we can only talk about Mozambique, right? I guess just the word I would say is have a lot of patience, because the process is pretty long for applying for our visas. So our last time we were in Mozambique, it took us 4 months, right, to get our visa.
Yeah.
And then once we did get it and then we did land, we needed to reapply for like a more permanent visa.
Yeah, so we went into Mozambique as a traveler. We went there as a visitor's visa. And those visas, many countries that you might visit might not require for you to have a visa. For example, a lot of European countries or in South America, you might not need a visa. But in this case, where we were going to, it is required to have a visa. So a traveler visas, you have to go to the embassy and you have to apply for it. And we were just recently there in January, so it took us maybe about 2 months to receive that. The visa that we applied for is you needed a worker's visa to go to Mozambique.
So there's 2 different types of visas. Yes. One's work and one's travel.
Yeah, so travel, you have 30 days and you could go there and then you would have to leave after the 30 days. We went there as a traveling for work, and we went there after a month. We applied for our work visa, and that gave us 1 year to stay in Mozambique.
So those work visas only last 1 year, and while you're there, you need to reapply for another year. So it's a yearly visa, and you could apply there in Mozambique.
And of course, every country is going to be different. One thing I wanted to add about the international visa: if you are living in the United States and you are an immigrant and you have a passport from your home country, do not let that expire. I mean, if you have interest in traveling other countries, like for example, if you are from like Ghana or you are from Nigeria and you decide to visit or you immigrate to the United States and you want to go travel through the continent of Africa, you have more freedom and availability to use that passport or traveling to other places. Or even if you're in a Caribbean island, or I know that there's a country, Dominica, that you could go into Mozambique. What I'm trying to say is that having these other passports will save you from purchasing and wasting and also investing money in a visa, so to speak.
My family was saying about the Italian passport, right?
Yeah.
If we get the Italian passport, you're allowed to go into all these other different countries.
Yeah. And if you do have the money, from what I hear, I think like Cayman Island or something like that, you could purchase a visa. And there's one country where you literally could go to any country that you want. So if you're thinking about traveling other places and maybe a passport works for you and you want to skip out of that whole process of getting a visa, I don't know. I think it's something interesting and should be looked at.